How's it going, YouTube? Anime Bar Lounge here with Corey. We are talking about the fall 2022 seasons of anime. We've already talked about 8 of them. If you're not aware, this is part 2. They don't have to be watched in order. They're just us. We've just watched so many anime that we had to split this into 2 videos. So we talked about most of the shonen in a video already, and this should be uploaded after that one. So if you haven't seen that one, go check this one out. But you can watch them in any order, so it doesn't matter. So if you're more of a shonen type person, go watch that one. If you're less of a shonen type person and more of a slice of life comedy person, this is the one for you. That being said, we are going to start with a classic that got a remake, Urusei Yatsura.
Yes, Invader Lum. This is a remake no one saw coming.
Oh, I didn't see it coming. I was excited for it when I knew it was coming.
I mean, it's been something like 30 or 40 years since the original one aired, or at least since the original manga started. So it's really weird having a new version of it to watch.
It is really weird because it looks really good, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not sure which version I like better. I mean, I haven't finished either one, but like, I really like the old aesthetic of the old one, and I'm having a hard time deciding whether I like this one because it's updated, it's fresh, it's new, because it's faster paced.
It's kind of a celebration of the old one. I mean, they've already said as much that this isn't going to be a full adaptation. This is a greatest hits album of sorts.
That makes sense because there's 150 episodes or something.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that realm. But Urusei Yatsura was kind of originally, the original series was a launching pad for a lot of careers, specifically people like Mamoru Oshii, who ended up making the Ghost in the Shell film. He also directed the second Urusei Yatsura film, which is quite literally one of my favorite anime films of all time.
Did not know that.
It's kind of hard to really grasp with Urusei Yatsura what it is, other than it just being like, it is the original harem comedy.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Which would make Lum the OG waifu.
She is the OG waifu. That is what she's been referred to throughout time.
She has lightning powers, so I mean, she's already meeting all my
she's already top
standards.
Tier for you, yeah. So it's kind of funny to even talk about a remake in any other sense than how culturally significant it is that there is a remake of it. And like you said, the animation of this is super good. David Production is behind this, the same team that did JoJo's. So it's kind of weird to see them do something as cartoony as this is. But they're nailing it. So if, like, older animation styles don't resonate with you, this is perfect for newcomers to Urusei Yatsura. I don't know what is different from the manga to the anime, so as this is not going to be covering stuff that was anime original, I don't know what's going to change from the original to this, but if you like just random harem comedy hijinks, this is perfect. It's quite literally something you can put on any episode of and be... I get it.
I definitely feel like it's something that, like, you have a lot of options in terms of diving into. You can check out the old anime, now you can check out the new anime, and you can check out the manga.
You could even check out the movies. I literally watched the second movie before I watched a single episode of the original series. So it's very easy to jump in with this show. And I think they've casted the voices very well. That was one of the things I was most worried about going from the old to the new, because obviously casting the old actresses and actors wasn't going to be easy for this.
Anyone that's familiar knows that Urusei Yatsura is by Rumio Takahashi. She also did Rama One Half,
Inuyasha, Mermaid Saga.
She's done a lot of stuff.
I think the voice casting has been immensely done. Lum is perfect. She gets every line just down perfectly. The inflections, the little cha she adds at the end of almost every sentence. They also casted Miyuki Sawashiro for Sakura, who is hilarious. There's a scene in the second episode that had me rolling because the way she delivers her lines is just so funny. She's behind people, like, she's done so many roles, it's kind of hard to single her out for anything, but she did Kurapika, she's done a lot of different types of roles. And Ataru is great too. So this is based completely off character interactions. Everyone bounces off each other. Just it's a very traditional comedy.
Speaking of comedies, we're gonna transition to we have there's so many different types of comedies, but Urusei is one that's grounded in a fair amount of story. Like, yeah, it's slice of life, but it is a comedy, but you can follow it. Like, each episode has like a point A, point B, point C. I saw one episode of season 2 of Pop Team Epic, and I have to come back to it because, oh man, Pop Team Epic is a mood-based show. You cannot watch it if you're not in the right mood, and that's basically what I
This is kind of the ultimate gag comedy.
It's very funny. Oh my gosh, I love Japan and its ability to just create weird, funny shit like this. But I only watched one episode so that I could talk about it, because I do actually recommend it if people like comedy stuff. Like, this would be up your alley. And it plays like the same show twice each episode, but like there's like an A side and a B side. You really only have to watch the first half because the second half is the same, but they have like deeper, like more masculine.
It's a different voice cast entirely, yeah. And they did the same thing for the English dub too, which is really cool.
Some of the jokes are really funny. Some of the jokes are out of this world, and then some of the jokes just don't land. It's one of the issues of comedy that are solely comedy. Urusei Yatsura doesn't need every joke to land because it's grounded in a story. Pop Team Epic needs every joke to land, because when it doesn't, you start to lose interest, and that's sort of the issue. You also have to be in the mood for it, but
it's kind of a give and take, especially with Pop Team, because there's other comedies this season that are based off of just that, but like if you get too used to a formula, the comedy starts to wear off. Pop Team kind of doesn't have one. It's just, let's throw everything we have at every gag, and if some of it doesn't land, oh well.
But it is definitely more of what it was doing in season 1. So if you've seen season 1, you won't be, and you liked it, you won't be disappointed. Mm-hmm. It's definitely doing what it's always done here. Yeah. But that's really all I wanted to say. It was a brief nod that it's funny, but
it's funny.
Tell us about Akiba Maid.
Akiba Maid War has possibly the most tonal whiplash I've ever had for a first episode. So, imagine Tokyo in the 90s, specifically Akibahara.
Sure.
Akihabara. Two maids get out of a car. Another maid's walking down the road.
Sounds like
and they are gunned down in cold blood.
Sure.
In a scene that's straight out of a Yakuza movie.
All right.
Smash cut. And it's a few years later, and now a new girl is about to work at, a new maid cafe. So she's thrown into the deep end, and all this stuff's going on, yada yada, whatever. So a guy comes in, and he approaches the manager. He's like, "You owe us money. We need you to pay this money. We're gonna have those girls, and they're gonna go over to this other maid cafe to deliver a message." So this episode, suffice to say, ends with a shootout with one of the maids shooting and killing an entire swath of a maid cafe to death. And that's just how it ends. So that's the first episode of Akiba Maid War.
Huh.
This is a show that casts maid cafes as Yakuzas in a gang war.
Oh my god.
It is absolutely insane.
I might have to check it out, though. That sounds wild.
The premise of this show is absolutely wild. And the comedy absolutely comes from just that. So I've only seen 2 episodes of this. There's, like 7 out now, so we're closing in on the end. But I definitely want to see where it's going, if it's going to actually move away from being a comedy, or if it's just going to continuously be the absolute absurdity of maids killing each other in shootouts.
Well, that'll be interesting to see. If I have time, I'll definitely pick it up. If I don't have time, it'll have to be something I'll watch later down the line. Yeah. But we will find that out later this season.
I feel like, quite literally, with Akiba Maid War, if you just watch the first episode, you will get a taste for what this show is. So, if you at least put in the time for like 20 minutes to watch that first episode, you'll know if it's for you or not.
All right. Moving on to Isekai. We're going to talk about Reincarnated as a Sword, which is one I almost didn't pick up because isekai live and die by their premises these days, and so
at some point we're gonna get that vending machine one.
I would watch it in a heartbeat. So it's a dude that's reincarnated as a sword, and it's like, okay, like it's hard to know whether you'd want to watch a show based off a premise or not, because the premise alone isn't really selling me here. Yeah, the dude's reincarnated as a sword, and I'm not gonna lie, that's creative, but it doesn't, like, I had to dig a little deeper.
It just sounds like Soul Eater.
Yeah, I had to dig a little deeper to, like, see. Well, like, he's literally a sword. He's not even a sword hybrid. He's 100% a fucking sword.
Oh, man.
He is not able... He can't transform into a human. He doesn't have, like, a human sword hybrid.
Sounds like my personal hell.
Yeah.
Please don't trap me in an inanimate object.
That's literally, yeah. He's plopped into the world as an inanimate object. He's a sword in a hilt in, like, the middle of an open field.
Oh, God.
And, like, he gets annoyed.
Please tell me he sat there for, like, 3,000 years before someone picks him up. No, damn it. That would have been hilarious.
That was what he thought was going to happen.
Oh,
but then, like, he has, like, a bunch of, like, smelly gobos have to, like, are, like, gathering around him. And he's like, my worst fears come to life. And he's like, please, I don't want to be inherited by a goblin. And then he realizes that he's a magic sword. He has, like, a lot of cool abilities, so he slays all, like, stupid-ass goblins. And he's like, whoa, I have telepathy! And, like, it does, like, a lot of that isekai world building. I really like the show now, but I wasn't really sold on it at episode 1 because it's, like, most isekais have to do this. They drop so much stuff on you episode 1 that it's hard to keep up. Like, they're world building, they're introducing a lot of races, they're introducing a lot of video game mechanics.
To be a good comparison to make for the next one.
Yeah, it's very easy to, like, pick up on it because it's not like it's complex stuff. But it's so much happening.
At its core, a lot of isekais are just traditional fantasy worlds with the isekai aspect thrown in.
So. Metaphorically, I compare a lot of episode 1s of isekai to, like, playing a tutorial of a game.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you've been through this before, and you just feel like you're getting beat over the head with information that... Some of it is unfortunately important, so yeah, some of it you do need, but some of it's just like, oh my god.
Like, please, hurry up.
So you got episode 1 full of exposition, learning about the skills, world building. The sword's getting lonely, and then he gets the first thing he sees is goblins. He's like, I don't like it! I don't like goblins! No! Yeah, and then, like, he's getting, like, really powerful because, like, he's getting, like, all this EXP and shit, and, like, he finds out that the radius around his sheath is, like, a weak area, and that the further he ventures out, the stronger things are, so he starts slowly going further and further away to fight higher and higher level things, and he's getting more and more fucking OP. Well, as he ventures too far, he finds this area that just drains you of all your fucking mana, so then he just drops, and now he's stuck in the ground again like he was at first, only now he can't do a damn thing, and he's like, oh, it's okay, I'll either find a way out or someone will find me, and, you know, a month passes, and he's like, help! Well, the B-plot of the first episode is that there's this black cat that goes through the racism and is a slave and stuff, and she ends up pulling out the sword, and now with the sword she's able to use the sword to fight off both this giant two-headed beast that started to assault her and the slave owners, but now with her sword she's quite literally able to liberate herself because the sword, being a magic sword, not only has all these skills for itself, but can transfer those skills to its wielder. So now she's already, like, decently strong by being a cat girl with all the racial traits that come with being, you know, a different race. But now she has super mega awesome ultra sword that's able to telepathically talk to her. And so they work as, like, a pair now. The sword's like, hey, don't, like, tell anyone that I'm a talking sword because that's really sus, and you don't want them to know that. But I'm a talking sword. How's it going? Nice to meet you. We're gonna kick some ass. And then they kicked some ass, and it was good. So they sort of provide protection for one another. You know, it's a mutualistic benefit. Hey, I'm a sword. You need a sword. Also, I'm a sword. I need someone to help me out because life's been lonely.
I can't move on my own.
They like start doing more like world building stuff. They go to like the guild and like typical isekai fashion, they like speed run through the process of like, you're a new adventurer, hee hee ha ha. Well, every new adventurer has to pass a test, so you have to fight the big strong buff guy, and you're a little girl, so he doesn't go easy on people, just so you know. And the big strong buff dude's actually kind of really funny because like I think his name's like Donadron, so he has like a really like menacing aura and shit, but then like he gets beat, and then he's like kind of like goofy, like when he gets beaten, he's like, oh shit. I think he like gives a like he gets buried under a bunch of rubble, and like to show that she passed, he just gives like the thumbs up from the rubble. There's a receptionist at like the guild too. Her name's like I think it's Nell, and she started off like seeming kind of bitchy and rude, but like, to be fair, she's working a retail job, so like I'm bitchy and rude at when I work retail too. Yeah. So that just be how it be. But like, yeah, she's pretty cool because like I forget what it is, but I think like they go to somewhere to like sell some of the treasure that they've inherited from like being on like the short little treks they've been in, because the sword, to give you another idea of how like ridiculous the sword's powers are from everything he's inherited, he has like a fucking pocket dimension to like store shit in, so they like access their pocket dimension to sell stuff. And the people that are rude to the receptionist are like, oi, why is he getting all this gold, lad? There's no fucking way. We sold stuff, we didn't get jack shit. Yeah, we think he's committing crimes and shit. And then the receptionist is like, no, I'm gonna stand up for him. So I'm like, yo, receptionist, she's a real G. That's what I have in my notes. And then in episode 3, they go to like this really cool, like dwarf-looking dude, and the dwarf-looking dude's like really passionate about like weaponry. So he picks up that the sword that they're wielding is like more than meets the eye. It is a transformer after all. And you sort of get the idea that like some skills work differently. So the sword is like has been able to like block people's ability to like scan him and research his ability, but this dwarf has like this powerful eye that gives him like god sight and shit. So he's like able to figure out that the sword is a talking sword and stuff. But he really helps them like learn like all more world building stuff, and at this point like it's a choice between like spoiling shit and like going deeper or talking in circles. But like I've been actually really impressed. It's been a while since like an isekai has like made me feel
it's good when it's more than just a tropey cool little weird reason they've been reincarnated.
Yeah, like I really like the relationship between the sword and the cat girl, who I haven't actually said their names yet. So the cat girl's name is Fran, and then the sword gets named by the cat girl, and so the sword's name is Teacher, because
fantastic,
amazing. Almost as good as Meowie. We have so many good names this season. But yeah, I'm actually really excited to get further. If it keeps doing what it's doing, it's going to be one that I'm really excited to circle back and talk more about when we do the wrap up.
Nice.
But onward to the next isekai.
I'm the villainess, so I'm taming the final boss.
I only watched one episode, so I think it's worth me starting off. So that you can go off. But
okay.
It's a more romantic-centric isekai. Like, it's interesting to call it an isekai, because it is.
It's kind of part of a subgenre.
Yeah.
It's part of the villainess subgenre, as it is.
But this bitch gets rejected, so she goes to a demon castle to try and like woo the demon, but like it's based off like an Otome game, so she's like has like a lot of knowledge about what's going to play out, and she's trying to prevent her untimely demise of the demon becoming a dragon and killing her. She like actually has like a potential to woo like the demon dude, but like she's like straight up like, oh no, I don't have like romantic feelings for you, I'm just like being straight up like.
Where are you at?
I'm only in episode 1.
You said you're in episode 1, but where are you at for me spoiling it?
Like, I mean, don't like drop like anything huge, but like, yeah, I am interested in this one. So like,
well, I mean, I guess you kind of understand it's a romance thing, so things will blossom.
Oh yeah, I am convinced that they'll probably like at least end up.
So the pacing in this is very fast. Within the first 4 episodes, I felt like they had quite literally speed ran this entire show.
Oh wow!
And then it just went into another arc. And apparently, that was just the first book of the light novel.
Oh okay.
So like every 4 episodes seem to be a full adaptation of one of the light novel books. Obviously, I've never read it, but I've had so much fun watching this.
Yeah, well, episode 1 by itself was fun because like she rescues like a Fenrir cub, which was like a whole ordeal, and that's sort of like I think the demon dude was already impressed with her, but that's sort of where he's like, okay, yeah, she's also a transformer. There's more to her than meets the eye.
Eileen is just a very charming protagonist. Everything that comes about with the character interactions between her and everyone else makes the show work like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, so I like it because like might be a weird comparison at first, but I think you'll see where I'm going with this. Is it sort of like reminds me of Beauty and the Beast in the sense that like
for sure.
You have 2 people that are ostracized from society, and so like they're kind of treated like villains, but they're not actually villains.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, you end up hating the characters that are seen as good in society because they're really just shitbags.
So what I love about this show is that the way that it treats the Otome game like type of setting is that the person who rejects her and the character that she's playing is supposed to be the villainess of the original Otome game.
Mm-hmm.
So she was supposed to be the villain, but because of the way that this entire story is set up, it makes you see that original like, oh, you have to love this male character. He's the person you're supposed to romance in an Otome game. You start hating that guy.
Yeah.
Like, they make him an asshole.
Yeah.
And everything is completely turned on its head because of this. So it just completely subverts it. Like, those characters that you meet in Otome games are probably douchebags in real life, man.
You get to root for the hot girl and hot demon boy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just been such a fun show to just kind of turn my brain off and just really vibe with it.
And I really like the demon guy too. Like I need to give him more credit. Like he has like a really cool design. He has a really cool way of talking and going about things. I think his name's Claude.
Yep.
Yeah. So Claude's a homie so far. Really excited to see more from my homie Claude.
Yeah. It's been a very fun show for me to watch.
But I'm not super far, so I will have to dive deeper.
It's part of a subgenre that's getting a lot of its own anime now. Obviously, this all started with Baccarina, the original villainess show from a few years back. There's more coming next year. Hell, there's probably another one this season at this point. It's becoming very, very popular, and I can see why just watching this.
Well, next up, Tell Me Little Lies.
Oh, this show. I almost forgot. So this is a pretty standard comedy, but with a small twist. The idea is that it's a cast of 4 girls who all are keeping a secret from the other 3.
Oh boy.
One of them is an alien commander from outer space. One of them is a ninja. One of them is a psychic and knows that the other 2 have a secret. The other one is a boy.
You had me at ninja. You lost me at boy.
Oh, no. She can't read the mind of the boy because her power only works on girls. So the entire comedic formula is their complete weirdness of outside clashing with each other.
So they have this weird, like we have the power of dramatic irony, and now it's also complicated because we have to keep tabs on who knows what about each other.
Exactly.
That does sound very interesting.
Yeah. Like, right in the first episode, the alien wants to come out and tell them that she's an alien. And then everything goes wrong almost immediately. It's just a really... It's honestly one of the lowest rated shows of the season that I'm watching for some reason, but I think it's just because
it's interesting that it's airing in the same season of Spy Family because the dynamic you described sounds very similar.
That's what I was going to get back to, yeah. Especially with the psychic knowing specific things, but also not knowing as much about one particular person. It's definitely a formulaic comedy, but I would describe it as like Asobi Asobase mixed with the absurdity of Arakawa Under the Bridge. And It's fun. It's really fun.
You said it's low rated, but like it sounds like you're having fun with it.
I am, yeah.
So it sounds like it's your version of my Shinobi show, where like
it kind of is. Yeah, I would say that. It's just absurdist comedy, and I'm always a sucker for that.
Oh, I know.
So,
I like it too. Absurdist
whether or not,
pretty good.
Like I've only watched 2 episodes and then most of the third. So like. I have no idea if this is going to hit levels where the formulaity starts to send in, but as it stands right now, I just think it's stupid and fun. And that's
even
all
as
I
a
need.
proof of concept, they're usually at least worth checking out, because even if they fall off after 3 episodes, at least you had like that really high note.
You had that honeymoon period with it, and
absolutely.
you didn't need to go off of that. So, yeah.
Right. Now, time to talk about Do It Yourself.
Yeah.
So on this one, I really like the art style, and I was gonna watch this just for the name, and then you're like, oh no, it's good, and I'm like, all right, we'll see. So the main character's name is Serefu. Her full name is Yura Serefu. So I like puns. So and this she is literal. Everything goes wrong incarnate.
She's a disaster. Yeah.
Ditzy. She has like a bunch of animals with her, so like. She's immediately just kind of interesting, but she can tell based off the way she interacts with her neighbor's just a fucking bitch and hates her. But like, is this like
they're going to separate?
Is this
schools
like SpongeBob Squidward moment? Like is she justified for hating her? Like maybe not.
So they go to separate schools, but the schools are situated in such a way that one of them is like inside of the other. And the other one is like this high-tech, learning about all of this stuff. So her friend goes to that school, and she goes to the lesser school. And as kind of a result of this world they're living in, drones are around.
Yeah.
It's a very high-tech world, which is kind of the reason that it sets up Yua going to this do-it-yourself club, finding herself in that community, making her own stuff.
Yeah, because like it's stuff that's like kind of like... it's interesting because like on the surface, if you're into like high-tech stuff, it's stuff that can seem kind of primitive, basic, shoddy, low quality, not worth the effort. But like anyone that's into do-it-yourself will see it as creative, artsy, very cool, and you get the satisfaction of I made this. And so like yeah, I think it's a very important anime because I think, as we become more and more technologically advanced, we risk the possibility of losing some of what got us here is just the innovation, ability to do it yourself. The character, I think her name, is it Ray? The
leader of the do-it-yourself club? Yes.
So Ray's super interesting, and I really like her. She's just oozes character. All the characters in the show ooze character so far, which is really nice in a slice of life show because they can live or die because they're usually very episodic based off the character interactions.
I think this is somewhere in the middle of something like a laid-back camp versus something of K-On! It hits somewhere in the middle. It doesn't go quite as in-depth as laid-back camp does in like explaining how camping works, but it isn't quite literally more predominantly about girls drinking tea than it is about a band. It's right in the middle there, where sometimes it explains stuff, but sometimes it's literally just the girls goofing off.
They do goof off, but I do like seeing what they come up with. Like in episode 2, they make a benchman out of skis. That's kind of
that is really cool. Yeah,
cool. And in episode 3, you get the racist American archetype, but I'm American, so I just find it funny.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking love English. Like,
good job!
It's so fucking funny. Like,
it is funny.
English is something that, like, I bet some people get tired of because it's like, oh, here we go again.
I'm in the middle on Jobco in this series for that.
I just love English.
Yeah.
But that's about where I'm at, so...
It's just a fun, good, cute little thing to put on to zone out to.
Vibes! Alright, so now we'll finish with one that I'm only vaguely familiar with, because I watched one episode of this one, but I was very tired when I watched it. But it rocks.
Bocchi the rocks. Yeah, I fucking love this show. I might love this show more than any other show this season.
That's wild, but...
Bocchi is anxiety. She
true.
is a ball of anxiety. She is potentially the most socially anxious person I have ever seen in my entire life, and that includes me. She picks up the guitar in order to make friends, but then she spends so much time working on guitar that she forgets to make friends. So she finds herself in this position where she's really good at something. She creates a YouTube channel out of it. She becomes extremely well known in that sphere, but she never shows her face, so nobody knows who she is. She finds herself in a band after all this, along with eventually three other people. And pretty much the show is just Bocchi trying to overcome her social anxiety through working with this band, which just leads to a bunch of mishaps. Because no matter how much she is in this band, she's getting along with them, her social anxiety is not just going to go away. If you've been on Twitter for 1 second, you will have seen the scene where Bocchi is glitching out. And that is what this show does.
Andrew showed me that. That was funny as fuck.
Yeah, that's what this show does. I think there are better animated shows this year. I think there's better animated shows this season. But I don't think a single show has used animation in the way that Bocchi does, to me. That when she's in her bouts of social anxiety, having a massive freak out, the animation goes crazy. The glitch is just one aspect of it. That show does it all the time. Bocchi is relatable in almost every sense of the word. There are some times when I'm like, oh my god, I didn't think any other show would touch on this specific aspect of anxiety. And Bocchi feels it in every way. There's some scenes where they have to make money to keep the band going so they can do concerts. So they're like, we should probably get jobs. And Bocchi's like, no, please don't make me work.
Oh god.
It's just so funny. And the voice acting is immaculate for her. So that anytime she's in that bout of social anxiety, it hits so hard. So it's just been it's probably the only show I've kept up with every week.
I'm going to probably need to rewatch episode 1 because I was just a sleepy boy when I watched it. I remember bits of it. I remember liking bits of it, but I don't have enough to form an opinion. I know she is YouTuber, so I relate to that, but also she has way more subscribers than I do, even though she's a fictional character. I am still jealous. But it is funny to see that, just because you have skills in a certain field does not mean those skills translate, even if they seem like on the surface they would. So, despite the fact that she's become very musically talented at guitar, she is not yet ready for the...
No, she isn't even a little bit. And I don't remember if it's in the first episode, but quite literally they have her play and she sucks.
Yeah,
because she has no idea how to play with other people.
That's in the first episode, yeah. That's...
But yeah, and it's not like this show is just Bocchi has social anxiety episode, haha, funny, I relate. There is a lot that goes into this that's just about the creation of a band and how to work as a band. Because while Bocchi may be the main character, you have Nijika, Ryo, and Kita, who all
have to band together.
They all have to band together and figure out their own shit. Because they all have their own hang-ups. And as much as Bocchi's working through her social anxiety, they also have to work through their own shit. Just the only thing I hope they go more into... Obviously, I want to see Bocchi overcome her own social anxiety, but I do want to see the other girls overcome their own personal issues as well. But it has been such a fun ride up to this point that I can't find anything negative to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is all 16 shows we have watched. We have watched more shows this season than any other season.
Mm-hmm.
It is wild. I don't know I will have finished by the time the season ends, but a lot
of stuff might just get dropped in the sense of we did not finish this. There's too much.
This has been a stacked season. There's a lot of shows I would recommend, but because this is a longer season, I think we will cap this off with I guess we'll both say what 3 shows we would both recommend above all others, because I feel like some people probably watch this as a please recommend me shows, and they don't want it to be, guys, you recommended me literally every show. What the fuck? So I'll start if you want, or you can start, whichever you're more comfortable.
Do you have a list somewhere of all the shows?
I'm pulling it out of my ass.
Oh, shit. Go ahead first so I can do my thing.
I'm going to say Bleach, because while I think you should catch up if possible, Bleach is good, but you know what? Bleach will be an honorable mention because it's an investment if you haven't seen it. Yeah. You're either caught up and watching it anyway, or you're asking me whether you should start Bleach, and Thousand Year Blood War is not where you should be starting. So I'm actually going to change that to Chainsaw Man because you can just jump right into Chainsaw Man because it just started. I'm going to recommend the Ninja Show because it's a guilty pleasure. It's not super good, but it's super good. Unlike some other shows like Eminence and Shadow. But and then third, I think I'm gonna recommend the Reincarnated as a Sword because I'm a sucker for isekai, and so far it's been really good. I might eat my words because, like most isekai, it can spiral downward and not continue to build toward what it's been building to. But if it keeps doing what it's doing, it's building up for it to be a really damn good show.
I'm gonna say I would recommend Blue Lock because I think, you know, sports anime are hard sell for a lot of people, but this works so much differently from other sports anime. It's a good starting point. If
you're a sucker for sports anime, this is for you.
If you already like them, you're good. If you don't, it's a good starting point. I'm definitely going to recommend Bocchi the Rock. It's took me by storm this season in such a way that I didn't expect considering how stacked it is. And it's relatable, and it's funny. Just, yes. And I'm also going to say, I guess I'll just recommend Gundam, because it's so far looks to be a good starting point for anybody who has not started any Gundam whatsoever, or just a few. Maybe not for the veterans, but we'll see.
We will see. Well, that's been our anime recommendations and our mid-season impressions. It's been a lot of anime, but I'm excited to see how much of it improves and how much of it falls through the rails. And then we'll be back we're already halfway through, so we'll be back in like a month and a half to talk about the rest of it and give like top 10s and rewards and shit.
Hell yeah.
But that's about it. Thanks for watching YouTube. Take it easy and stay funky.